Good morning, everybody. We will be starting here in just a minute. We just want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to join. Good morning. We'll go ahead and get started. Um, Welcome to the Ohio Federal Research Network's Opportunity Days quantum discussion this morning on November 13th. So this morning session will probably be just a little bit shorter maybe than some of the ones we've done because unfortunately one of our presenters, in fact the first one, came down with the flu last night, so he will not be able to be presenting, but we have two other highly qualified and I think very interesting presenters for this morning's Opportunity Day. Next slide, Becky, please. I'm your MC for this morning. I'm the executive director for the Ohio Federal Research Network at Parallax Advanced Research. We have our incredible Parallax team of individuals that work every day to make sure that OFRN is as successful as it is. And then again for today, as I mentioned, some really great speakers. Unfortunately, Paul Parazzoli from IBM is unfortunately the one that is sick, so he will not be able to join us today. But the other two, I think, will be fantastic. You will enjoy their presentations. And then our fantastic intern, Morgan Buck, will go over a few opportunities here at the end of the presentation for you if you're interested in funding opportunities. Now that the federal government is officially back open, hopefully people at all those government partners down there will start talking to you again because they'll be back to work today or tomorrow, hopefully. Next slide, please, Becky. And I can joke about that because I spent 37 years in the military, so I know how federal government shutdowns work. Um, Here's the agenda for today. As I said, we'll be kind of moving that up. So Dr. Riano will actually go here in just a few minutes, and then President Crawford from Miami University will follow him, and then we'll do the opportunity review. So we'll probably wrap it up a little sooner than what's on the agenda here than for today. But thank you all for attending. Next slide, please. So just very briefly, for those that maybe aren't familiar with the Ohio Federal Research Network, so it is a state-funded program through the Ohio Department of Higher Education that addresses the federal partner needs that you see here listed with their logos there and to include the Ohio National Guard. Parallax, we're just the administrative arm of the program, so all we do is manage it. We have two highly qualified councils and boards that manage the program from a standpoint of selecting the teams that get funded every 2 years as part of the state's biennial budgeting process. Next slide. This is just sort of a wrap up of where we've been since the start, which was in 2015. So we are in what we would call round seven. So each round is a 2 year period based off of, as I mentioned, the state of Ohio's biennial budgeting process. And you can see the number of universities and business partners that have been engaged, the number of projects that have been funded so far, jobs created. So we've had 16 spin-out companies that have been created out of those 48 projects that have been funded. The bottom line, though, I think is probably always the most important. So the state of Ohio to date has put in $72 million into this program, and we've received over 400 million in follow-on funding. But I always like to point out that I think one of the more important ones is that cost share piece, because that means that the academic institutions here in the state of Ohio and our industry partners are willing to put a little skin in the game when it comes to developing technology to support those four federal partners that we showed on a previous slide. So super important that this work continues, and we work hard with our legislature and the governor's office to make sure that that happens. Next slide, please. So our first presenter for today is Dr. Ron Riano. He's currently the co-director of the Ohio State University Center for Quantum Information Science and Engineering and is a professor in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at The Ohio State University. Professor Riano's research focuses on chip-scale waveguide integrated photonics in a classical and quantum domains. His group specializes in silicon photonics and lithium niobate on insulator. Professor Riano is the recipient of the DARPA Young Faculty Award, the ARO Young Investigator Award, the NSF Career Award, and the Ohio State University's College of Engineering McCarthy Teaching Award. Dr. Riano is a 2024 Intel Outstanding Researcher Awardee in recognition of work on quantum curriculum using the Intel Quantum Software Development Kit. And I will also mention that Dr. Riano was just recently on one of our projects that was funded during round 6 in quantum sensing. So I will turn it over to you, Dr. Riano.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mark, for the introduction. And indeed, my experience with the OFRN concept and team has been really spectacular, and really enjoyed working with industry in the programs that you've enabled us to be a part of. So thank you very much, Mark, and the OFRN team. So today I'm going to talk about what's happening at Ohio State University with respect to quantum information science and engineering. And as Mark mentioned, my name is Ron Riano. I wear two hats. I'm a professor in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, and I'm also co-director of our university level Center for Quantum Information Science and Engineering. And by design, there are two co-directors at Ohio State. The first, myself, in the engineering college. So we have a College of Engineering representative at the leadership level. And we also have a co-director in the Arts and Sciences College in the Department of Physics. So that's Zeke Johnston Halperin. And together with that leadership, we're covering both the basic science as well as the applications for quantum information. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's a overview of the Quantum Center, and I'll go into detail in many of these aspects later on in the presentation. So we were launched in 2022 after the start and initiation of a quantum information task force that was launched in 2018. And after a number of annual recycles of that task force, we were formally launched by President Johnson at her State of the University address in 2022. So it's now 2025. We've covered 3 years, which was our initial funded support at $250K per year internally, with 10 million in startup to support faculty hires, which we've been quite successful with, and I'll talk about that later. We're also in the process of renewing the Quantum Center for another 5 years under the same leadership of myself and Zeke Johnston Halperin. So we're excited about the ongoing university level investment for our Quantum Center. So our membership includes approximately 40 or so faculty across the university, spanning 6 departments in both the College of Engineering and the Arts and Sciences College. We also have an advisory board spanning 6 faculty across the campus in computer science, chemistry, math, physics, electrical engineering, and materials science. And our overarching goals are to establish OSU as a regional hub for quantum information science and engineering, to provide a reservoir of capability, expertise at multiple levels, both the undergraduate and the graduate levels, to coordinate partnerships within the university among faculty and various research groups across colleges, as well as looking outward from the university and developing university industry partnerships. Through that, we hope to amplify the impact of researchers and provide mechanisms by which faculty can team together for larger projects, and also provide a way for faculty to showcase their latest research results. So in so doing, we're hoping to facilitate the training of students in quantum information, as well as identify what the workforce needs are in this area, and accelerate, therefore, quantum information campus-wide for experts in the field already, but also for faculty and researchers who are interested in jumping into this field. So there's quantum information, say, as the prime, but then there are many opportunities for faculty to be involved in quantum adjacent technologies. So for example, when you think about quantum computing, there is an entire stack of technologies that's needed, and it's just not the qubit, for example, that's needed, but all the control electronics, all the software, all the feedback, lasers, RF electronics, and the list just kind of goes on and on. So we're really hoping to spread the word that quantum information is not just a science enterprise, but it's science and engineering. So our initiatives and activities span education at the undergraduate and graduate levels. We also have a number of test beds and infrastructure projects going online. For example, just installed a dilution refrigerator on campus, which will be used for various projects when you need to take circuits down to very cold temperatures. We also have a test bed in development in the area of quantum networking. And we also have equipment for very fine polishing of wafers, for example, to sub nanometer RMS surface roughness. So our startup has been useful. Our center level startup has been useful for the leverage of faculty hires. And we also have an interdisciplinary postdoctoral program, and we host a number of seminars, workshops, ways to engage students, and also formal funding that faculty can apply for in order to help to facilitate the partnering of our quantum faculty with external partners outside the university. We call that our partnership seat awards. Next slide, please. So here is a snapshot of our advisory board. So these faculty members, they support the co-directors in center development and strategic planning. We meet periodically for this purpose, and you can see it spans a number of faculty across multiple departments: computer science, physics, EE, math, chemistry and biochemistry, material science, and engineering. Next slide, please. So we've been quite happy with our faculty hires, approximately one or so per year. So our most recent faculty hire, Young-Suk Kim, was a hire in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. And that faculty member shown on the lower left is now on campus, and he will be in the process of developing a program in superconducting quantum bit quantum computing. So he will be installing a second dilution refrigerator on campus. So I would say sometime in 2026, there'll be two dilution refrigerators on campus dedicated to quantum information. And Young-Suk Kim comes to us from IBM Quantum. He had a career there for a number of years, and he'll be continuing his research on studying this form of quantum bits. He plans to do fabrication of these types of chips at our campus clean room, and also reach out and work with external partners like Lincoln Laboratory to obtain these superconducting quantum bits, and then have a laboratory to characterize their performance. In particular, Young-Suk is an expert in managing the noise properties of these quantum bits. So he'll have an experimental program tackling that very important problem. In 2024, we hired Kevin Singh from the Chicago area, and he is now developing a lab in neutral atom quantum computing, which is another way to make quantum bits. So he'll be working with atomic species like rubidium, for example, to create a quantum computing platform. And he'll be cooling down these atoms with lasers. So he's got a nice lab that he's developing to do these laser cooling of neutral atoms and then using them for quantum computing. A third hire in 2023 was Joe Sajosny, and he's in the area of chemistry. And so he's working at the atom and molecular level from a chemistry point of view to develop metal ion spin-based quantum information, qubits, and concepts. And then finally, in 2023, we hired Kai-Feng Bu. He's in the mathematics department, and his focus is on quantum machine learning and resource theory. Next slide, please. So one program that launched recently, this was awarded in November of 2023. This is a NSF-funded National Research Traineeship Program at the $3 million level to develop a interdisciplinary graduate program at Ohio State University. And the idea is that once this program is in place, students will be able to graduate from Ohio State University, not with a physics degree or an engineering degree, but with a degree in quantum information science and engineering. And so we're really excited about ramping this up. The idea is that we'll have a set of core courses and core faculty from 6 participating departments across the 2 colleges. So physics, chemical, biomolecular science, chemistry, math, electrical engineering, computer science, and material science. And there'll be options for MS and PhD degrees in an interdisciplinary way. So the idea is that we're going to have a common core of courses where everyone will take a common set of semester level courses. And you can see there it'll cover things like the foundations of quantum information. What are some of the grand challenges? What are the important research problems? What is the interface between classical and quantum information, as well as covering methods such as what are some of the computational methods that you can apply to quantum information. And so we'll also incorporate into this concepts or structure that requires the students to participate in seminars, give seminars, and also have research rotations throughout various groups. And one thing that's really important in this program is that we're going to require the students to have some form of industry engagement. So they're working with industry formally through this graduate program. So once they have this common core set and in place, then they can branch out and focus on 4 primary areas. So we'll have a core track structure in computing. We'll have a core track structure in networking and communications, a third one in materials and quantum sensing, and then a 4th one in quantum simulation. So really excited about this program. We have a number of structures and documents working their way through the university to formalize this process, and in a number of years, we're really excited to have this ramp up. So by name, it's called QGIP, or Quantum Graduate Interdisciplinary Program. Next slide, please. Okay, another initiative on campus is our NSF National Quantum Virtual Laboratory. So this is a program focused on the area of quantum sensing. So it was awarded in 2024, a phase 1 project at the $1 million level to develop the structure of a virtual laboratory. And the concept of the virtual laboratory is that sort of removes the brick and mortar aspect of an academic research enterprise and allows multiple users to come in and access and have ways to conduct research, call it virtually, either visiting or through some sort of uh, uh, literally virtual way to interact with the laboratory in a more sort of open sense, a way to bring down the barriers of that are just inherent in physical locations of laboratories. And so this NSF NQVL has a number of collaborators at OSU. It's primarily within physics and material science and engineering. And the external collaborators involve MIT, University of Chicago, and the University of Iowa. So as I state there, this support is to create a technology roadmap for the development of quantum sensing, molecular and material structure and functional properties. And it really leverages the long-standing and robust materials effort that has been one of the hallmarks of Ohio State University. Next slide, please. And here's our activity in quantum networking. These are 2 projects that I'm leading. The first is a congressionally funded research project to develop intercity quantum information science and engineering in the state of Ohio. And in this project, what our objective is to quantum interconnect 2 cities in the state. So in the lower left, we're planning a point-to-point quantum key distribution link between Alice and Bob, with Alice being in Columbus and Bob being in Dayton. And we're really excited about this project. We just were able to connect 2 buildings on the OSU campus for the first time this past March. And that was through initial laboratory developments. And now we've got that link operating between two buildings on campus. And the goal is to now extend those links as we reach out and extend towards Dayton sometime in 2026. And so this is a fiber optic link. We're sending single photons across this link and implementing a quantum protocol that allows the distribution of security keys that can then be used for encryption. So we're excited about this cybersecurity application of quantum information. And another important part of it is it's not a laboratory exercise in the sense that we're out using real optical fiber in the ground. And our partners, we're partnering very heavily with an organization called ORNet. They currently manage the fiber optic infrastructure throughout the state of Ohio. So any higher education institution in Ohio that relies on internet, ORNet is their managing their resources and availability of that network. And our quantum link is layered on top of that existing classical network. So it's really a classical and quantum interface project that we're excited about. And our partners, Pankaj Shah and Mark Falmer, have been extremely supportive and helpful on this project. A second project in quantum networking I'm also leading, and this idea is referred to as measurement device independent quantum key distribution. And the difference here is that we're introducing a third party we call our transmitter Alice and our receiver Bob, but you can also add another party we call Charlie. And if you do that, you can implement a separate protocol where Alice and Bob now are transmitters, Charlie is a receiver, and then you remove loopholes in the hardware implementation of these quantum cybersecurity protocols. So by nature, since Alice and Bob are transmitters and Charlie is a receiver, we now effectively double the transmission distance of our quantum link. And if we're successful with this, we'll have technology that could link us, for example, between Columbus and Cleveland, Ohio on that distance. And then ultimately, the larger picture is that if we can have Alice, Bob, and Charlie, we can now add additional points and have like a spoke and hub model or a star network where we have our Charlie unit in the middle, and then anyone on the outside, an Alice or a Bob, within 120 kilometers of Charlie can interconnect through Charlie. So Alice 1 can talk to Bob 2 or Alice 2. Bob 1 can talk to Alice 2 or Alice 1. And then you really then have a star network that can grow throughout the state. Next slide, please. So here's a picture of the quantum networking. So we have our transmitter at ORNet. This is on the OSU campus. And then we have our receiver at the electroscience laboratory, which we call Bob. It's about a half-mile walk if you were to just walk that span. And if you were to measure the optical fiber loss, it's about 1.6 dB. And that's at 1550 nanometer wavelength. And those of you in the optical field know that's, half mile walk is not should be much less than 1.6 dB. It turns out that fiber goes all the way to main campus, comes back to West Campus. And so it's not quite the half mile walk, but the total loss of this link is 1.6 dB at 1550 nanometer. And this was, I think, one reminder that infrastructure really takes you to infrastructure development in quantum, really takes you back to the fiber. And also all those hidden fibers in the walls and in the roofs and in the nooks and crannies of your buildings, you end up revisiting those to add the quantum links layered on top of these classical links. So that was kind of a lot of fun in terms of a real infrastructure build. Next slide, please. So our quantum networking with respect to extending out to 240 kilometers looks something like this, where we have two transmitters, Alice and Bob. For example, we can have an Alice in ORNet and a Bob at Dayton, and then it's mediated by a Charlie unit, for example, at the electroscience laboratory. You'll have these single photons transmitting between Alice and Bob to Charlie, and then you'll have a classical signal between Charlie, Alice, and Bob. And then at the end of this protocol, Alice and Bob share a common encryption key that they can use for encryption, even though Alice and Bob never met in person. So we're excited about this. And one thing is that this protocol requires single photon detectors. So we're in the process now of procuring. We actually have these are superconducting nanowires, single photon detectors that we're installing at the electroscience lab. This is state-of-the-art detection technology with very high efficiency, very low timing jitter. And so we have very sensitive detectors to implement this protocol. And it turns out that as we're building this measurement device independent quantum key distribution link, we're also starting to put down the infrastructure that's going to be needed for quantum repeaters, for example. So as we extend from the single photons that are transmitting in superpositions to Charlie, this same hardware can be used to make this network and transform it into an entanglement-based network. So we're excited about the next step, which would be probably our third project in the quantum networking area. Next slide, please. So this requires a custom build for MDI QKD, and you can see it requires a number of discrete components. So you need lasers, you need modulators, you need beam splitters, multiplexers, attenuators, single photon detectors, and FPGAs. A lot of this technology is the same technology to develop a classical fiber optic network infrastructure, with the exception of the single photon detectors. And so what's exciting about this for us, since this is a custom build of components, is that now we're going to be making this an open test bed. So if you're making the latest and greatest laser or modulator or detector, you'll be able to drop in your technology into your test bed and then see how it works in a real world quantum networking environment that's working through optical fiber over distance. So we're going to be opening this up to academic researchers and also industry. So if this is interesting to you and you're a component developer, I'm pleased to report that we'll be making this open as a test bed for the community to use. Next slide, please. One other effort that we're exploring is working with the StarLab effort with respect to quantum networking as well as quantum sensing. And so there is a terrestrial analog facility being built at The Ohio State University. It's about 8 miles from campus. And so this is a physical twin mock-up of a low Earth orbit satellite. The idea is that the International Space Station, as that phases out, there's this concept of 4 astronaut manned low Earth orbit satellites that will be sort of the next generation beyond the International Space Station. And at Ohio State University at the airport, they're developing these analog twins, which will look like the space stations themselves. It'll be as if you are on board the space station. Of course, it's on the ground, but there you can develop technology and you can work out all your technical issues before the thing is actually launched into space. So we're excited about having a quantum aspect for this. So we've been working with John Horak and company to see how we can implement quantum technologies into this test bed. Next slide, please. So our partnership seed awards is something that we have ongoing. And the goal here is to partner our external partners with collaborative projects that can grow into a larger award. And here's just a couple of examples of the type of seed awards that we've awarded in the past. So some more computer science faculty, they partnered with Brookhaven National Labs to work on a project together. We've had faculty partner with the Army Research Laboratory, as well with other universities. So this is our mechanism to get our faculty to work outside of the university. And this year we have a number of awards and solicitations where the focus is support, for example, cloud computing time with IBM. Next slide, please. So we've also launched industry university collaborative consortium. And so this is our way to reach out and have a formal way to engage with industry. It's a membership-based model. And we are planning to have an annual meeting at Ohio State University where we invite all of our industry partners and have them engage with our students, as well as have faculty student projects that are of interest to industry. And this is also layered on top of short courses that we offer. So each summer, we have a number of faculty teaching short courses in the area of quantum entanglement, networking, quantum bits, error correction, and math methods. And if you're a member of this consortium, you have a certain number of seats to be involved and send your employees to get some training over the summer through these short courses. And so if you're an industry, um, if you're an industry and you're interested in engaging with Ohio State University, we have all the documents and all the agreement documents in place, if you'd like to pursue that. And then if you become a member, then you can start to engage in a formal way with the happenings at Ohio State University. And this is something we launched in 2024 with a set of short courses. And we did it again this last summer, and we're planning to do this annually. And if it's something you just want to try out, we do offer the short courses in your first year, sort of free of charge, just to see what the whole framework looks like. And then in the next year, we ask that universities formally engage and sign as a formal member. Next slide, please. I think this is my last slide. So we're really excited about the Quantum Center as being a formal way to create regularly occurring seminars, provide workshops and events, and have a number of ways that students, for example, can be educated and involved with our research community, focusing on the challenges and opportunities of quantum information. And so we are starting a new seminar series next year, and we're titling it The State of Quantum Applications or Quantum Information Applications. And this will invite speakers who can talk about specifically how the bridge between science and engineering is now becoming very engineering, in the sense that our speakers will talk about how that whole quantum adjacent stack is very important to quantum in addition to the fundamental physics that's required. So these types of seminars we're excited about hosting. We also have student organization and mechanisms for faculty to get together at a monthly brown bag, and formalized ways to introduce curricula into the classroom. And that's just a picture there. For example, we have ways for students to learn about quantum computing, and all they have to do is bring a laptop into the classroom, and then they can start to do and engage in a hands-on way. For example, in this case, this was a teaching module to learn the Intel Quantum Software Development Kit in the classroom, and the students just had to bring in a laptop and they can do hands-on quantum computing programming on the fly. Next slide, please. Okay, I think that's pretty much my presentation for today. We do have a website. It's called quantum.osu.edu. And if you have any questions or you want to learn about what's happening in the latest news, please visit that website. I think there's also time at the end of this presentation for questions. So with that, thank you very much for your time. And it's been a pleasure presenting the happenings at OSU and quantum information. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Yano. Appreciate it. There may be questions popping up in the chat, so feel free to take a look at that, and you can respond to any of the questions that are in there. There is actually one in there for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
With that, we'll go ahead. Next slide, Becky, or I'm not sure if we're going to share. Okay, yep. Let me do the introduction here quickly first, and then Dr. Crawford, President Crawford can share his slides for our next presentation. President Crawford is the president of Miami University in his 10th year. Prior to Miami, he was the dean of science and vice president at the University of Notre Dame and the dean of engineering at Brown University. While at Notre Dame, Dr. Crawford was also jointly appointed as an adjunct professor at the Indiana School of Medicine, South Bend. A physicist by training, his research focused on optics and photonics for medical applications, non-invasive hemoglobin detection, aging bruises and abuse cases, infectious disease, bedside sensors, and bioengineered muscle drug discovery platforms, which included multiple clinical trials. Dr. Crawford has accumulated over 350 publications, 16 US and several international patents, and is co-founder of two biomedical startup companies. Early in his career, he spent time in Silicon Valley working at Xerox Palo Alto Research Center, later leading Notre Dame's California Initiative in Palo Alto. He is a fellow of the Society for Information Display and the National Academy of Inventors. He has served on several boards, including St. Joseph Research Regional Medical Center, Elkhart, Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and currently with the large business incubator in Cincinnati called Centrifuge. So I will turn it over to President Crawford for your presentation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run it from my end. And I'm also going to just turn off my video while I'm doing my presentation just to save some bandwidth. Is that okay?
Of course. Thank you so much.
Okay. And we practiced this all morning, so I hope it works. And so. Okay, can everyone see that okay?
Yes, we can. Looks
Okay,
good.
perfect. Well, thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to talk about what we're doing in quantum, both quantum computing and quantum science here at Miami. We have an extended reality stage in our brand new data sciences building, which the students are having a little fun with there around superposition. And so I love that picture, but they seem to all be entangled there a little bit too. So first, what I thought I would do is I spend just 2 minutes on Miami, where we're headed, because I do think it fits into the story of our quantum efforts. But if you don't know Miami, we really do focus a lot on excellence, leadership, outcomes, and innovations. And on excellence, we're known for that undergraduate public institution at the national level. For leadership, we're produce top 15 in Fortune 500 CEOs, but also are in that Time leadership list for all different types of leadership. In outcomes, we're very excited about the LinkedIn ranking that went through and scanned the LinkedIn efforts and showed outcomes of graduates. And then also our public four-year graduation rate is 12th in the country. And we're super proud of that, to get students out and done in 4 years. And then in terms of innovations, we've really been known for entrepreneurship for more than a decade and a half on those top 10 international rankings in Entrepreneurship Magazine and Princeton Review. And then furthermore, our energy production just ranked number 5 in the country with a new science contribution that came out around our energy production. So we do both geothermal, and we're just opening a brand new 2 megawatt solar field. So lots of exciting things from that perspective. And then as how we got into quantum over the years is the following. We had a Miami 2020 plan, which was completed in 2019, and then started a new one called Miami Rise, which was more strategic in nature and less tactical. And then in 2024, our board asked me, since we've completed our plan, if we can get ready in parallel process while that one's finishing up and do a new one, which was called Miami Thrive. And what made this different for a university is we engage an outside firm to help us think differently. But we thought future back. And so we looked out to 2035 and said, what does society look like then? And how do we prepare for it? And that's where, we're in the Dayton area and Cincinnati area that are merging. So that landscape of our environment, but also quantum computing and AI came up in a big way. And then we focused on our present challenges and how we keep a strong financial position where we're at today. And then past fulfilling, not to veer off of what got us here, but that really remarkable undergraduate experience that students have here. And how do we maintain that as we do a lot of new things? And so that first plan, we focused in on several areas, health, which was the new nursing program. And I'll say a little bit about that in a second, because it's connected to the Cleveland Clinic partnership. Data science is a brand new building that we have with robotics and a cybersecurity lab, and also this extended reality stage. Entrepreneurship we're known for, and just opened our new incubator in town with the help of Butler County commissioners in the city of Hamilton. And then the humanities, a new building is a big renovated building will be opening here soon on our campus. Our energy efforts, which I told you about, which is now geothermal and the solar panels. Our research enterprise has really increased 3.5-fold in terms of external funding in the past 8 years. New honors college and a manufacturing hub in Hamilton at one of our regional campuses. And then there was the Miami Thrive, and this is where our quantum and all of our high-tech disruptive technologies came into play. So this just started a year ago. It's a really ambitious plan, and we did turn everything upside down and shook it here, knowing all the challenges in higher ed. And so it was pretty spectacular. So the first area is the urban bridge, and I'm going to come to that because we want to be in other places where we can place internships and have faculty experiences. We do really well in Cincinnati, but we wanted to be also in Cleveland and Columbus. Our partnerships, Cleveland Clinic's a big one, which you'll hear about, but the Cincinnati Bengals is our new one. We're their educational partner. And then there's our picture of part of our solar field that's way bigger than that. That's as much as a drone could capture. Disruptive technologies, which will be my talk. And then really focusing in on our work on interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, and multidisciplinary. And in a big way, we're going to lean into experiential learning on all of our campuses. And then our regional campus in Hamilton is going to be converted into a polytech, where we focus in on engineering technology of all flavors. And then we also are moving towards commerce, which is their business equivalent degree, and also health sciences there as well. And then we have a new PhD programs in engineering, and we structured them in a very unique way, which allows quantum to fit in a really unique sort of aspect. And so before I always start on the quantum stuff, I always want to show this picture because it goes back to the late 60s, and it's Dustin Hoffman and in the movie The Graduate. And if some of you have seen it, right, he wasn't very happy going home after college, confused young man, didn't know what he wanted to do. His parents throw him a party, everyone's giving him advice. And then as he walks out, you remember that one word. What was that one word? Plastics, right? So I always like to show this because it is kind of reminiscent of where we're at today. It's not plastics, it's other things.
I just want to say one word to you. Just one word.
Yes, sir.
Are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Quantum computing.
So I modified that a little bit. Probably will get in trouble, but but it's just a good way to start off this. And so this is just a qualitative sort of element to show you on the quantum side. We show this a lot to those that are wanting to learn more about quantum. And we talk through the classical computing, conventional computing, and Moore's law, and how, you know, we've scaled over decades and how things got much faster. But the new quantum computing element, you know, going qubits rather than bits, at some point when you have a very big problem size, it crosses over and you get some real extraordinary speeds that scale very differently than classical computer scale. So we always show this and talk through it. And so the one interesting thing about the urban bridge, so this is the concept that we have, and, you know, we want to be in other places so that we can have experiences for students and faculty and staff and so forth. So the Cleveland Urban Bridge made a whole lot of sense because we connected with Cleveland Clinic, and they have a quantum computer, and it's just fantastic. It's amazing with their partnership with IBM. And so we were super excited. And as a physicist going up there, I was so excited about a year and a half ago when I got the first chance to see it. It was amazing. And having said so, we created an urban bridge up there. And that urban bridge is going to be for internships and study away opportunities for students. So they can study away for a semester, much like we do study abroad, and be right smack dab in that, you know, that innovation district in Cleveland, which is focused on quantum. And it's got that infrastructure. And then research in quantum and health. So Cleveland Clinic's computer is probably the only one in the world in which is solely focused on health. And then entrepreneurship and innovation. And I'm going to show you that. It's really interesting what we've done there. We want to actually bolster that and go above and beyond the innovation district with Cleveland Clinic and taking inventions, discoveries, and ideas around quantum devices, quantum sensors, and quantum chips, but also quantum computing, and move that in that area. And we'd love to see it turn into like Superposition Alley, analogous to Silicon Valley. And then scholarships for our Bachelor of Science and Quantum Computing students. And I'll tell you about that program. And then workforce development. We knew we wanted to be the talent developer and the partner in that Cleveland Innovation District for this quantum computing. And so we developed the Bachelor of Science degree. And then open and collaborate with others. And so we got the state funding, and we're grateful for that, to form the Ohio Institute for Quantum Computing in partnership with Cleveland Clinic. And there's just different elements that it supports. It supports computer time, quantum computing time up there in Cleveland. It supports our students. We're going to be scholarshiping Ohio students that want to go into quantum and do that degree program, so we can create that talent and that pipeline and make it very attractive to do it. And to do that, you probably have to be your affinity, you have to be good at physics, probably going to be really good at programming, and just have strong math skills, including not just continuous math, but also discrete math. So we're grateful to the state of Ohio, and we're grateful to the partnership with Cleveland Clinic and moving forward. And so we went up to Cleveland to develop that new Bachelor of Science degree in quantum computing. And then when you sit with Cleveland Clinic and you hear how the quantum computer is being used in healthcare, it transfers through all the entire pipeline of research, pure basic, translational, and applied. So talking about protein folding, it's a very complex kind of thing, and it's connected to disease progression and disease formation. And so a quantum computer can really do that, speed it up in real time, that you can really look at some of these calculations and get rid of some of the probabilistic stuff that we do today. And then on the translational side, in silico drug discovery, and so doing more of the experiments online on the computer rather than doing 2 and 3D sort of cell assays to down select homologs to test later on to see if we can't squeeze that pipeline to get drugs out faster. And then the applied side for all of you and me, at some point in some time with all of our genomes being recorded, our family physician or healthcare professionals that work with us can really utilize quantum computing in the future for our individual health. And so we worked with Cleveland Clinic, and we also worked with all their quantum computing experts that they have, and they're phenomenal. That place has got the best in the world. They just about everything, and quantum is no exception. So they just have phenomenal QC people. So we talked with them, and we built out jointly with them, with their advice, this new undergraduate bachelor's degree. This is, of course, not the entire thing, but nevertheless, it gives you a flavor of it. And so first on the quantum side, it was quantum basics. So that's the physics element to it around entanglement, superposition, interference, uncertainty principle, et cetera. And then we have the whole list of things that they got to study, from quantum information processing, quantum algorithms, quantum security, cybersecurity, and quantum applications. You can do multiple tracks in our program, but I'm going to just focus on the life science and bioinformatics track as that's most relevant to Cleveland Clinic. And so the students in this degree program will take a little biology, a little biochemistry, chemical engineering, but we'll have a big dose of bioinformatics and genetics. And so they can talk the talk, walk the walk, and have the vocabulary of those they're programming for. And then Cleveland Clinic, as entrepreneurial as they are in that new innovation district as well, we're adamant that these students needed to have an entrepreneurship background. Because when you're working with quantum computing, the sky's the limit on inventing new things and figuring out new things and making processes more efficient. So there may be a whole lot of startup activity that's involved there that you can get involved with, and or what's an intellectual property mean in this space, and patents, copyrights, et cetera. So there's a couple of courses there as well. So this is the roughly speaking, the aspects of our new Bachelor of Science in Quantum. And the good news is, for students that want to do this with our state support, we're going to scholarship them. So we have the applicant pool open right now. We have a good number in there. So we'll get that started. They'll start next year. But in the meantime, people that were in computer science actually transferred into the quantum degree and transferred over. So we already have people in the pipeline, even though we just started recruiting this year on the outside. And then just a couple of examples. A couple of our students got to go up to Cleveland Clinic this summer, and that'll greatly expand next summer and get that experience. But we had Dr. Nakamura at the Cleveland Clinic, works on multiple sclerosis. And so Grace, our undergraduate biomedical engineering student, did a lot of the MRI imaging work around with AI and quantum. And then Jose Segundo, physics major, and he's also a master's degree student in CS, so he's both, doing it simultaneously. And his advisor was Dr. Lee, and they worked on musculoskeletal, orthopedics, rheumatoid arthritis, et cetera, and then MRI images, and used the quantum computer. And I wanted to show you this quick video of Jose's experience, because I do think it was pretty extraordinary. And he talks about he never imagined as a kid that he'd be at the Cleveland Clinic working on one of the most state-of-the-art aspects of technology in the world at this point in time.
I never imagined that I would have the opportunity to work on a quantum computer as a college student especially. My internship with the Cleveland Clinic was great. All the interns had the opportunity to use IBM's quantum computer System 1 and work on a project. My project was the synovitis data project, which basically means that we had an MRI scan of the knee and we try to find signs and clues to how much water was being held at every single point in the knee. And we used the quantum computer to run artificial intelligence models to try to predict that. My favorite part of the internship was undoubtedly to work with some of the top tier scientists in the field to see how they work, their work ethic, and how they approach problems is definitely something that I appreciated a lot. I was involved in the Discovery Accelerator program, which is the initiative to shorten the gap of 17 years between when something is discovered and when it's actually used on patients. It's very unimaginable for someone coming from my beginnings to comprehend the magnitude of what working with a quantum computer in the Cleveland Clinic is. Part of my project was to assess and compare how quantum computing compares to classical computing in my specific project. And following those results, I'm really hopeful that quantum computing will grow and grow exponentially. It's definitely the case that it's promising, and with the more rudimentary techniques that we have now, we can already achieve results. So for the future, I can only see great things.
So it's interesting. So Jose's in the multiple program in physics and CS to get his undergraduate BS in physics and his master's in CS. But he also, before he went to Cleveland Clinic, he was working in a quantum lab on qubits on intermetallic materials. And so he's had a great background. But our job is to get these students trained up here and keep them in Ohio. And so we'll work hard on that. And I know Cleveland Clinic is working hard on that as well to keep these folks. So on the research side, our area is also, much like the OSU side, is interdisciplinary. So we got CS, computer science, electrical and computing engineering, and also physics. And so on the quantum computing side, one of our elements is they work on quantum optimization. And so looking at the NVIDIA GPU platform and trying to speed that up compared to existing platforms. We also have a group that's working across the continuum, and so bringing quantum education to the K through 12 level, which is super exciting. And then one of our professors works on the architectures and hybrid architectures across various quantum platforms. And then this one is interesting. So we have, it's for undergraduates participating in quantum. We have a group that's pulling undergraduates in to do work in the laboratory. And then on the resources side of the house, we do have time on the Cleveland Clinic quantum computer, which is very exciting, in addition to our simple simulator that we have here on campus. So this is the CS faculty working across optimization, architectures, and also education, both at the undergraduate level and the K through 12 level. Our quantum group in physics is they're all NSF funded. And so really cool stuff going on here. And so Bayram is working on, Professor Bayram, on qubit coherence and stability, but also the decoherence element of it. So she fires a probe beam into the material system, and then, she fires a beam to excite into a material system so that they excite into the quantum state, and then follows it by a probe beam with a very small time delay. And so she catches it when it's very stable, and then they watch it as it goes into decoherence and follow that. And so they do great plots of the outcoming spectrum versus the theoretical constructs, and then follow that as decoherence sets in to understand the coherence-decoherence element. And then Professor Mirza, he's a quantum gate operations guy, and he really works on retrieving quantum information that's trapped in optical cavities. And then Professor Bali and his team, they work on, this doesn't look like your normal sine wave that you usually see in your physics textbooks when studying photonics, but down at the quantum level there, you see a lot of fluctuations. So they look to see how to measure these quantum fluctuations in a very sensitive way, such there can be all kinds of applications on the quantum sensor side. And then superconducting qubits, we have one that works on material science elements of it, Professor Corbett and his team, and looking to see if we can create more stable qubits. And so we got materials, we got optical cavities, and all the way through to fundamental spectroscopy. And this is a really well-funded group. And then electrical engineering, this is not necessarily a quantum, but it's a photonic computing, DARPA-funded project. And they work with the company and partner with the company. It's pretty exciting. That's their prototype on the top. But they looked at AI computing systems, and they were able to achieve leverage and get 1,000 times faster, 1,000 times using less power with this system. And also, it's about 500 times smaller than the existing AI system. So great things going on the research front. And then I didn't want to put too much here. This is not really hyperbole, but it's various different things how we argue. But, the Google would say that on some of their calculations, they can go from 10 to the 4 years, 10,000 years down to 200 seconds. You see the artificial intelligence, the transactional aspect is better than human beings. And for most of the cases studied, and the creativity elements it's doing in AI is pretty impressive of what they're doing there in the research and seeing how it's developed. Data is, we're at zettabytes today, we're going to yottabytes. I love that one. And then cybersecurity, it's a $23 million trillion cybercrime worldwide issue. And so as we were thinking about quantum, and then we had a great investment in data science in our first plan 5 years ago, we really did pull it all together. So we have our new Bachelor of Science in Quantum. We also have 3 renditions of our data science degree now that you can take in the business school. You can be on the more pure statistics side, or you can be more on the sort of analytics and applied side. So we got multiple there. And then the cybersecurity piece, you can take it from the business side, or you can take the bachelor's degree also from the engineering side. And then, of course, what we have here is all these are coming together. They're sort of all interconnected in some way, shape, or form. And then we just launched our new AI degree as well at the bachelor's level. So we did a lot at the undergraduate level, and that's sort of been our bread and butter, to really be the best at undergraduate education. And so we're bringing that together right now. We're super excited about quantum because it pulls together biology and also entrepreneurship. And then our new PhD program in engineering, there's 2 of them. There's the umbrella program, which is interdisciplinary amongst all the departments. And so you do get a PhD in engineering and then a PhD in computer science. And so we have at our opening classes, we have our quantum folks in these 2 areas. And physics didn't have a PhD program, so they've been pulled in here, which is fantastic. But the new elements of this PhD program, our students are going to be going into internships, so we'll give them that flexibility. They do have to present a research proposal rather than the classical way in which we matriculated students up in the past through just exams. They are getting a healthy dose of entrepreneurship as well and innovation, and they do have to connect whatever they're doing to society and humanity in their thesis. And so we got a lot of leverage off of this new PhD program, and we're hopefully to grow this even bigger in the next couple of years. Then right now, so is the pitch. If you have a child that wants to do quantum computing and they're from Ohio, send them our way. We got scholarships for them, and it'll be really a healthy scholarship. And then on the side of hires, we have at least are going to hire 2 in quantum computing and CS this year, and we'll have more coming in the future. And we'll see how strong the pull is. We may do more than that if things play out. Then, of course, the resources that we have up there in Cleveland with our great partnership with the Cleveland Clinic and access to that computer, and then also our simulator on campus is there. So anyway, I'll end right there. It was a real pleasure and to be able to present to this group. And again, I wanted to thank first and foremost all of our colleagues at the Cleveland Clinic. They've been amazing, and we just love working with them. The level of excellence that they bring to everything they do is just extraordinary and very inspiring for all of us here at Miami. And then furthermore, to thank the state of Ohio for funding our Institute for Quantum Computing. With their support, we're able to actually train a lot more students and get them and keep them in Ohio here and keep that talent alive. So again, thank you very much, and it's my pleasure to be here today.
Thank you so much, President Crawford. If you have a minute, there's just two short questions, I think, in the chat there. The first one is, do you see any applications for liquid crystal devices in quantum computer hardware?
Well, you know, you're really hitting at my heart because the liquid crystal was my area of research. But if you go back and you think about it on the sort of the photonic scale of photonic computing, those spatial light modulators, they're useful, but they're a bit slow. And so some of the things that if you want faster computing on the photonic side, they probably will use that graphene SL, the spatial light modulator instead. But I'm going to try my best to make a link to it, though, to bring back my past.
Awesome. The other one is, do you see any aviation or space related research that would be linked to this going on at Miami University?
Yeah, I do think so. And I think some of the elements of what we're doing, we pushed very hard also on vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. And so as these things get sort of more implemented and busier in the skies and so forth, I do see a role for quantum computing in that area, certainly AI in a big way. So we're heavily into that area in many ways. We have a startup company in our incubator that's focused in on that. But I suspect that'll be when things get very busy and complicated with a lot of different kinds of aircraft. I think that may be a great way in, but there's probably many others as well. And certainly in space, you heard from OSU, looks like they got some great things going on with satellites.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I know you have to run, so we appreciate your time this morning here with the Ohio Federal Research Network and our Opportunity Day, and look forward to collaborating more in the future. So with Miami University and hopefully with you too. So
Okay, my pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
thanks, appreciate it. Since we have just a few minutes, Dr. Riano, I was going to see if you have any comments that you'd like to make regarding either one of those questions that were asked to President Crawford. You're on mute.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mark. I think President Crawford answered the modulator question very nicely, especially since liquid crystal modulators is in his background. I would say, broadly speaking, if you have a modulator technology, it can definitely be used. So what's needed with modulators are, think about making a really great telecom modulator, but then making one that works even better because all the efficiencies have to be higher. And if you're going to scale this, all the power requirements have to be lower. And so if you're making a good telecom modulator that's used to switching, in a telecommunications network, you're dealing with classical power levels, whereas with quantum, you may be switching single photons. So very low levels of power. It's a sort of a different arena, but if you make a great modulator, I think you could find a space in quantum information. In terms of aviation and space-related research, yes, I think this is definitely a burgeoning area of research, and I think it's something that Ohio should pay attention to, especially with all the aerospace activity happening. Ohio is, Dayton is the birthplace of aviation. I think it should be the birthplace of quantum and aviation. And so we have had a number of discussions at OSU, particularly with respect to quantum networking nodes that are in relative motion with each other. So for example, there's very extensive research out of China where they already have quantum experiments running in space-based quantum networking nodes. And that doesn't just have to be in satellites. It could be more generally, I would call it the area of mobile platforms. It could be satellites, it could be airplanes, it could be drones, it could be cars, things that are moving. So I think that's a really exciting area, particularly with quantum networking. And then as President Crawford alluded to, if you have a lot of moving parts, you're going to need computational power. And quantum computing, for example, there may be algorithms that can be related to very complex problems. And one that I've been thinking about, and I'll just share it with you when I think about complexity, is there's this idea that if you have space debris, so if you have a lot of things in low Earth orbit or in orbit around the Earth, then you have debris, And then if one object collides with another, then that debris will collide with others. And then all of a sudden you have tons of debris in orbit and it just cascades critically. And then suddenly the entire area is unusable. Can a quantum computer, for example, compute all the trajectories of the debris and therefore make that space usable again? So I think that kind of level of complexity maybe is in the arena of quantum computing. And so ultimately, I think quantum networking, quantum computing, and then when you have a mobile platform, you're thinking quantum sensing, creating networks of sensors. So I think all those areas can apply to the space domain.
Excellent. Oh, thank you so much. What a wonderful answer. Okay, I don't see any other questions right now, so we can move on. Becky, if you want to share the slideshow here, and we can move on for Morgan, and she can go through any opportunities that we have. But if you do have questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. We'll capture them for either President Crawford or Dr. Rihanna. We'll capture them and make sure that we get you answers back on those particular questions. Morgan, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you to both of our speakers. So let's dive right into our opportunities. Next slide. So our first opportunity of the day has been released by the U.S. National Science Foundation. They are seeking collaborative proposals from researchers, industry partners, and federal agencies to design and implement innovative quantum technology demonstrations, specifically to bridge basic research and practical use and expand the quantum workforce. The design portion of this opportunity is looking at up to 2 million per year for up to 2 years. And the implementation portion is looking at up to 10 million per year for 6 years. There will be an estimated total funding of 32 million with 8 design awards and 6 implementation awards, both over 3 rounds. The proposals are accepted anytime. Next slide. This second opportunity has been pushed out by the DoD, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA. They are requesting information on correlated particles, including neutrons, gamma rays, photons, and others, and variations of classical quantum and computational ghost imaging for the implementation of active nuclear interrogation techniques. This was released in October and will be due December 8th of this year, so mark your calendars if you are interested. This is a sources sought, so they are requesting information. Next slide. The Nave Air is looking to implement quantum resilient cryptography, upgrade to CERD-based security standards, and future-proof tactical waveforms. This again is a sources sought opportunity. It was published October and will be due this month, so that is coming up. The contract type for the orders issued under this announcement will be anticipated to be performance-based and non-performance-based. Next slide. This has been released by the U.S. National Science Foundation. Please note that with the government shutdown, the U.S. National Science Foundation is closed and will continue to accept proposals in accordance with the published guidelines. Anyways, this is a grant looking at an estimated total funding of $7,047,008. They are looking to advance the fundamental understanding of heat and mass transfer mechanisms across all scales, develop predictive and control models using integrated experimental, analytical, and computational methods to transform how thermal processes are designed and optimized, And lastly, innovative applications in areas like energy systems, electronic materials, and biothermal processes by uncovering new thermal transport phenomena. This was released in 2023, and proposals will be accepted anytime. Next slide. This one has also been released by the U.S. National Science Foundation with an estimated total funding of $12 million per year. They are looking for fundamental physics research, including AMO, plasma particle, nuclear astrophysics, gravitational, QIS, physics of living systems, instrumentation, workforce development, and then other broader impacts. This was released in 2023, and the deadline will be coming up in December of 2025. Next slide. This opportunity has been pushed out by the Department of the Army, the Material Command. They are looking to pursue disruptive fundamental research and enable technologies with a focus on qubit development, grow deep partnerships to tackle the most difficult and relevant problems in quantum information sciences and technology, and then build a quantum workforce in the government at LPS and LQC partners. This was released in 2021 and will be due next year in April. Next slide. This opportunity is a special notice released by DARPA. The primary goal of this program is to determine if any emerging approaches to quantum computing can achieve industrial useful operation much faster than other conventional predictions. This program is verifying and validating approaches that enable revolutionary advances in design, engineering, testing, and evaluation in the domain of fault-tolerant quantum computing. This was released last month in October, and the due date is coming up in the end of the month. Next slide. This opportunity has been pushed out by the DoD, the Department of the Air Force. This is a pre-solicitation, was published in June of this year, and they are specifically looking to focus on topics related to areas of quantum communication, quantum networking, and computing. They are specifically focusing on areas of novel quantum, bit technologies, quantum protocols for networking and computation, and enabling technology development. Next slide. Here are just some helpful links that most of these opportunities have been collected from for your information. Next slide.
Okay, let's see, is this the last slide then?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Morgan, appreciate it. You can go to the next slide, Becky. And these are some contact information for Becky, who is the program coordinator for the Ohio Federal Research Network, or myself. You can also go to the Ohio Federal Research Network's website, which is just ohiofrn.org. That's where the presentation, recording the presentations, and all previous presentations that we've had over the last several years, because we do this on a quarterly basis, are posted, as well as all the slide presentations are posted there too. So this presentation and the slides will be posted shortly. Hopefully within a day or two, we'll be able to get those up on the website. And Becky will send out an email to everybody when she has them posted so that you can review them, as well as those opportunities that Morgan just went over. All right. Anything from you, Becky?
I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today and to thank our speakers as well. I found it very informational, and I am more informed on quantum than I ever was. So thank you for making it relatable for a layman like me.
Awesome. Thanks everybody again, and to Dr. Riano and President Crawford and Randy Thomas from Miami University as well. So thank you so much for attending today. We appreciate your interest in wanting to support the Ohio Federal Research Network, and also to get this critical information out to all of our partners around the state of Ohio. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great Thursday afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you soon.